let's talk about the cloud business, because the huge one-time profit jaunt from Rivian, which was super cool and everything, that they were able to surprise by like $24 a share, that was a bit of a windfall. So that wasn't necessarily, didn't necessarily make entire sense. But what I will say, Pat, is that broader result did kind of save the market yesterday, because the market was in a tailspin. So I think after Meta's result, people were really thinking it might be doomy for Amazon. E-commerce was going to get crushed, but it was only up 1%, the actual traditional e-commerce business. But AWS, I'm telling you, I don't know how they do it. I'm being totally sincere. Like, you and I have talked about this quarter after quarter after quarter. Law of large numbers. The average growth is going to get harder. It's going to get harder because, now they're a $10 billion company. Remember, now it's a $12 billion company, and now a quarter, $12 billion a quarter. Now it's $14 billion. How are they going? Pat, I think we did the metrics. Am I right or wrong that AWS now in total revenue, I think it surpassed IBM, just AWS?
Yeah, they just if you annualize their quarterly revenue, they just nipped IBM in the bud. And if you compare quarter on quarter, they did. Yeah.
So that's not a knock. That's just to give perspective to the magnitude of AWS within the overall Amazon. So you got a business that's still growing 40%. Like I said, they started, remember, Pat, for a while they fell into the high 20s and low 30s, and we're going, okay, we're going to start to see this pull back. We're going to see it in the mid 20s. It's going to slip into the 20s. And I would say that, the forces that are here for AWS is the diversification of their product portfolio. It started with storage networking, compute, all the core infrastructure, but they've gone up and down the stack from services to PaaS. They haven't overly tapped into software yet, which is still pretty nascent and a huge opportunity for the company if they decide to go down that route. But, hybrid cloud with Outposts, a very diverse set of services for AI and ML, Bracket for quantum, which I'm guessing isn't a huge revenue source yet, but it's going to be down the line. They're playing in that space right now. Edge and IoT, Snowball and everything that's going on there as a big business. So from edge to cloud, from public to hybrid, AWS has a very comprehensive service. And of course, they never will say, hey, we're into multi-cloud, but they have, with ECS and EKS, built solutions for people that want to be able to do that with their own open source and development capabilities, using AWS to do that as well. And then finally, Pat, they've built a pretty healthy, profitable business on homegrown chips. They've got some really compelling, including all the stuff they're doing with Graviton. They launched the Graviton Challenge at our 6.5 event, which, I'd like to throw that out there every once in a while. And who knows, maybe they'll launch another Graviton Challenge at the 6.5 Summit in June. Throwing that out there, if anyone at AWS is listening. All right, but, Pat, I'll leave it there and leave a little bit for you. But it's a diverse company playing up and down the stack. Its growth continues to impress. And by the way, kind of the opposite of the Alphabet thing, it is the profit giant for Amazon. And while Amazon's core e-commerce and other businesses actually don't create a whole lot of op inc, AWS is an absolute margin monster.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just flash this up there, and hopefully you can see that AWS generated 152% of Amazon's operating income. And you might ask, well, gosh, how could that possibly happen? Well, it's because international operations lost $1.6 billion and North America lost $206 million. That's exactly how that happens. It's an absolute, cash machine. And the cool part is, they increased revenue 40%, but the increased op inc 48%. That must mean there are some fixed expenses that don't increase with the amount of business they do, like people, which is an incredible thing. The diversity of what you can get from Amazon is incredible. And it's truly ironic that their value proposition when they first started was simplicity, right? If you wanted a virtualized workload, you could get one one size of a virtual machine. And then IT was like, I need multitudes of it, but they did it for scale. And then once they got to a point of scale, they then offered every flavor of compute, storage, and networking that any human, I think, would need. And then they kept adding more, right? And I like to consider what AWS does on EC2 compute as decommoditizing compute. There was this notion amongst other hyperscalers that compute was commoditized. And I'm a big believer. I spent 20 years in product marketing and product management, that you don't become commoditized. You allow yourself to be commoditized. And what AWS did is they, Daniel, as you said, started creating their own silicon on the compute side. And then, well, first actually on their networking offload. They did that for 8 years before they built their own compute engine. They have an inference chip, and they have a training chip that's in customer test right now. So I think they keep moving that forward. In quantum computing, right? They have one flavor of every type of technology: trapped ion, neutral atom, and superconductor. Right? Again, hedging their bets on this thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in even more partners into the fold. But quite a machine, Daniel. And yeah, it'd be cool to have AWS on again to chat about some type of challenge, or maybe announce another program at the 6.5 Summit 2022, which is June 7th to June 9th. Hold your calendars.